Hello, I'm Paul, and this is Paul Plays with Fire. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here to see this. So, I did a thing. I bought a Blackstone Griddle. I've been looking for a long time. The right deal finally came along, and here we are. I do want to say, I paid my own money for this. No one is sponsoring me. I'll admit, I do have a pretty bad case of GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. It doesn't seem to matter what I get into. I really love the process of becoming fully equipped to handle the task at hand. And this little YouTube cooking show is no exception. There has been a significant amount of GAS going on. Cameras, lenses, computers, cooking equipment, the list goes on. But it's different this time. This just isn't about acquiring gear. This Blackstone Griddle feels like it really fit well into our current cooking lifestyle. So, introducing the Blackstone Griddle. It's fresh off the truck and it needs a little work before we can use it, so let's get busy. I bought the Blackstone Griddle assembled, so there's really nothing to do there. What we really do need to do is season it, and the first step of seasoning is, well, we hooked up the gas already and made sure that worked, and now we're going to give the griddle surface, a good wash down, and we just do that with a little soap and water. I hear a lot of people say that's the last time they'll ever put soap on their griddle. It's the first time they clean it, it's the last time they'll do anything with it. Seasoning a griddle like this is really no different than seasoning a cast iron griddle or a wok or something like that. Just need to make sure you have a good clean surface to work with. Get any of that packing tape or anything else off of there. Make sure you do the edges too. There, that's good enough. That's all we need. Now we'll push that soapy water off there best and dry the rest of it off. I don't really have any experience with these before. For some reason, I was busy when they came out and I've just never got around to getting one. But the more I see of them, the more I want one. It seems like it would be very useful with the way I cook things. Now we got it all washed and dried. We'll go ahead and turn the heat on. And another thing I've read about these is that you want to heat them on low when you first get them started. Otherwise, there's a chance of warping the top a little bit, and nobody wants that. So we're not going to take any chances. I know the new ones have some reinforcing underneath that keeps that from happening. There, heard it light. Go ahead and light all 4 of them. And turn them on low. And we'll just let that run for a little bit and see how it goes. Well, we're probably about 10 minutes in. We got it up to 300 or so degrees, and so we took it off of low and turned it up to high a little bit. Turned it pretty much all the way to high. It's now running about 400 degrees in the middle, so it's getting there, and it's starting to turn color. It's starting to darken a little bit in the middle. So I think from what I read, it needs to darken and even may almost turn blue, I think is what it'll do. So we'll just give it some more time and see how it goes. Well, we let it heat up for a good 15 minutes or so, but it's plenty hot. If I take a thermometer to it, it's about 550 in the middle of the griddle, and it's about 490 on the outsides in the middle. Of course, everywhere you go out, it cools down from that. And we're starting to get some of the bluing around in the middle that I was talking about. Back in the day, I used to race motorcycles, and the exhaust was stainless steel that we used. And on the race bikes, when they were new and shiny, that stainless steel looked just so perfect. About 1 lap around the track, and that stainless steel exhaust would turn all blue from the heat, and that's how you know a bike was broken in well. So I guess it's the same thing with a griddle. The nice blue griddle means it's broken in. Our next step is to put some griddle seasoning down. This is what we're using today. I figure when it comes to seasoning, Blackstone knows what they're doing. I mean, they know what's best for their griddles. I know you'll read other things on the internet. You read about don't use this or don't use that. Use bacon fat or don't use bacon fat. Don't use motor oil. Whatever you do, do not use 1040, no matter what the message boards say. Pennzoil, not good for a Blackstone. So anyway, we're going to use a little official Blackstone seasoning, 2 tablespoons. And we've got a rag. Don't do this by hand. Use tongs and a rag or use gloves. And don't put too much down either. When I said 2 tablespoons, I really mean that. One of the big mistakes that people make, whether it's seasoning one of these or seasoning a cast iron pan or wok, is they use too much seasoning. And they try to put too much down all at once. And then that just leaves a residue that you basically have to sand off and start over. Now this is gonna smoke for a while, and that's okay. You're also gonna get around on the edges. I'm gonna go around the outsides too, because any of those surfaces can rust and nobody wants that. Make sure you get it up into the corners. There, that's about the right amount. That feels about right. Just a thin layer. And we'll just let that sit and smoke for 10 minutes or so until it stops smoking. Then we'll turn it down a little bit and then we'll do it all over again. Well, that's burned off nicely, leaving a very nice, nice start to the seasoning. Happy so far. So we'll put another tablespoons on there. And grab our rag again. Just splash that around. Boy, that's really coming up nice now. Once again, a thin, thin layer. Don't want to get too much here. Too much is worse than not enough. You can always go back and do more, but if you do too much, you're gonna have to go back and scrape it off and start over. I know I did that to something I seasoned. I think it was one of my cast iron pans when I was much younger. I'm much wiser now. Once again, doing the outsides, hitting the backside. And the whole thing won't turn black today. That will happen with time, but we'll get the middle sections that will be very well seasoned. There we go. Now we'll just let that burn off for another 10 minutes. Okay, for those of you scoring at home, this is round 3. Another 2 tablespoons, same as before. And this time, we're going to use my welding glove and use the cloth in that hand. Maybe not for starters. I want to get up into the corners, and I want to get on the backside, and I really feel like I can't grab on to the cloth well enough to do that with the tongs. So I'm going to grab onto it with my welding gloves and hopefully not get burned in the process. But so far it's going really well, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. This process, by the way, the seasoning process, places a polymer layer on all of the hot surfaces. It's monomers in the cooking fat, in whatever fat you use, monomers in the cooking fat under heat combine to form polymers. And those polymers adhere to the steel and form this non-stick, rust-free surface that we're looking for. Okay, now I'm gonna go to this. Just make sure all the surfaces get covered, but not too covered. Remember, we want a thin layer. This looks like a little thicker than it should be. Had to bring in reinforcements to dry it up just a little bit because it's a little bit too much. And we don't want too much. Just want to blot those corners. Kind of builds up there a little bit. Okay, we'll let that smoke off. Did I finish my polymer stories? Let's see, the monomers combined to form polymers under heat, and that's what forms the stick-free, rust-free surface as long as you maintain it. You're welcome. Okay, here we are for the fourth and probably final time. Put a little bit more of this down. Don't need quite as much as I had last time. That's about it for that jar. So there, for future reference, one jar of that stuff is enough to do one 36-inch griddle 4 times. And I've got another one for later, just in case. When I was looking around at other people doing this, I ran across a guy doing it without gloves and just a rag. He burned himself pretty good. I don't recommend it. Something to do with splashing oil. We're gonna get our glove out again so we can do a good job on the back and sides without burning ourselves. Once again, I managed to put too much on, so we're going to wipe a little bit off, just to get that excess off of there. As soon as that quits smoking, I think it's ready to cook on. Well, look at that. That is a thing of beauty. I mean, that really turned out nice. I'm very, very pleased with how that came out. That didn't take as long as I thought, so let's make some bacon and eggs and maybe a little home fries to go with it. Well, how's that sound? That's what I thought. I've turned it down on low. Let me get my ingredients together real quick and we'll see how this goes. We'll start with the bacon. That looks like enough, doesn't it? Well, we got our bacon squared around. It's not pretty, but we got it going. It's not done, but we aren't done yet either, so we'll just leave that there for now. Fred finally getting home a little late today, Fred. Okay, now we got some potatoes we're going to put on. And we have parboiled these potatoes in a little bit of vinegar, just so that it sets up the pectin so that they don't fall apart on the grill. And if you want to learn more about that, 5 tips for better bacon and eggs, which is some of the principles I'm using here, except we're not making our bacon in the oven. But other than that, so I'm going to put this on and see how it goes. Now the trick to the potatoes is to get them onto the griddle and get them situated, flat side down, and then let them sit a little bit so that they can have one scorched side. We'll see if that works. But we'll just let them go for a little bit. The bacon's mostly done, the potatoes are getting there, and now we want a little peppers and onions to go with our potatoes. But we don't want to cook them with our potatoes because then they get soggy. And that's where the Blackstone Griddle is real handy, because you can keep food separate if you want and mix them at the last minute. We'll let that cook for a little bit and then we'll move it off to the side until we're ready for it. Well, the peppers are coming along really nice. Peppers and onions. The bacon looks good. Oh, potatoes look good, look at that. Look at those nice brown sides. That's that patience paying off. We left the brown sides down for long enough that we left one side down long enough that they turned brown, and now they're pretty well stable and set up. Go ahead and turn the heat up on them a little bit. Then I think it's about time to get some eggs out. And I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous about that. So The eggs are gonna be the challenge for me, but we're gonna start with a nice clean grill. We're gonna oil it up nice, and then we'll see how it goes. So, let's move some stuff out of the way and go get some eggs. Well, I never expected we'd get this far, but here we are. Our potatoes are done. We haven't mixed them together with our peppers, but we'll do that here in a second. Our bacon is done. Bacon looks really good. It's not the most shapely bacon, but then we didn't pay the most for that bacon either, so I'm not surprised. And the peppers and onions are done. They look really good too. Like I said, we're gonna mix them in with the potatoes here in a second. But the moment of truth is I'm gonna do a couple eggs. I'm gonna try and do over easy. Wish me luck. You know, my fallback position is scrambled, so. That feels hot. It feels hot, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, scrambled eggs are pretty good too. Looks pretty good. Looks really good. Yep, that was a little hot. That's okay. Pretty good. For a first effort, I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy. A little bacon. Get some taters. Looks like an over easy egg. Yep. Well, here we are. That's a good looking plate of breakfast right there. Taters are good. They're hot too. Bacon's good. It's really good. And the eggs are just the right amount of runny. Look at that. Well, I'd say for the first day cooking on the Blackstone Griddle, I'd call this a success. Well, this has been Paul Plays with Fire. Thanks for watching. We're going to be using this thing again, I can tell. What am I going to make next?